Hello, everybody. Welcome back on Unversed Podcast. Danny here. Today we are talking about Deathtopia. So this dropped, looks like about 2 years ago, from Yoshinobu Yamada. Now, that's a very interesting name, right? I was reading this manga, and I was like, yeah, the art's nice, and I was actually thinking too. I was telling Adam and Jerry, I was like, man, this is, it's nice art for what it is, right? This current trend, like DeathTube, for example, you can clearly tell it's a digital artist, Monster Musume. There's a specific group of artists that are doing this now, right? Where it kind of feels almost the same, right? Sure, there's their art distinctions there, but when you look at it, you can clearly tell it's just digital art. And I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe I'm just too old school with all the early mangas that I've read, specifically shonen as well, right? Just how stunning the artwork is when you draw it like that. And then on the flip side, you look at My Hero, and there is digital aspects to that, yeah, but you just don't really feel it, I don't know. It's just this current trend. It's like, I guess the best thing I could say, it's the Pixiv mangakas, right? Monster Musume was on Pixiv for a long time. If you don't know, that's the Japanese photo sharing site, very popular. And then, yeah, he was just drawing Monster Musume, and now it's, it's serialized as well as his other one. What's it called? 12 Beast. So, it's whatever. But anyways, I was reading it, and I was thinking that, and then I get to a page on one of the chapters, and there's a photo of a character, and it's the wife of one of our main characters, and I was like, wait a minute. And then, he explains, what she does, and I was like, no, wait, hold on. So then I Googled, Deathtopia. Sure enough, this is the same mangaka that wrote and drew Cage of Eden. Now, if you're a longtime listener of the show, you'll know I really like that manga. I think I just talked about that one recently on the main channel. But yeah, it was good premise, great characters, and then it all went to shit in the last maybe 10 or so chapters, and that's when I was like, ooh man, that's what went wrong. So this is the same guy, and the one thing I could probably summarize from this mangaka is ambitious. There's some wild ideas here. Well, not really wild, but there's some interesting ideas in Deathtopia. It starts off very rough, right? It starts off with the main character just got into an accident, and his eyes are injured. The bones around his eyes broke or whatever. And I was like, oh, damn, we're going into some crazy shit. And then it's, talks about in the narration saying oh, this place is, there's just a lot of death happening. There's a certain thing that awakens in somebody, and that makes them want to kill. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. Because most of these mangas, I don't really look into them. I just oh, hey, Deathtopia, that sounds like a cool name. I'll read it. I thought it was going to be some kind of future cyberpunk post-apocalyptic type feel. But no, it's just modern day, and some interesting stuff here. It's only 66 chapters. It feels pretty short. It's a fast-paced one too, especially towards the end. A lot of stuff is happening, and reading it, I was thinking, man, where's the downtime, right? Most mangas usually have downtime for character development, plot structures to get really reformed, right? Refine it during the downtime. Not a lot of that happens here. That's a problem, I think. Because there's some interesting characters here. It's sort of so there's a lot of titties in this. That's what this guy's pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, known for. If you go read Cage of Eden and just look at that's all over the place. But here it's oh man, it's a different magazine, I'm assuming, because there's just nipples left and right. But other than that, the characters, they're kind of generic, it's your standard staple, right? There's 3 girls. One's a hit girl, or a punch girl, more accurately. One's calm and collected. One's the older one that feels like she knows everything. type of deal, classic stuff. And then you have our main character who's just thrown into this world. And then, of course, you have the director of this police division, and he's like Kakashi, basically. So you have your typical tropes here. Nothing really going on here. There were moments in this manga where I figured, they're getting ready to start character development between these characters. Our main character and the sword chick, Yui. But nah, it doesn't really happen, at least not in the way it normally should be written, right? Our main character, Ko, it was only brought up, like a few times from other characters. And there's even a part at the very end, their plan is to stop the main antagonist of the series, and they're like, okay, well, Ko and Yui, you guys are going to replace this couple that's about to get married, and then that's when we start the attack. I thought there was going to be a lot of dialogue teasing our main characters about, like, hey, look, you're getting married, But, no, we didn't get any of that. I think that's kind of my problem. The structure can change, sure, when you're writing for mangas. Like at Black Clover, that is something that's doing it right for itself, right? Like I'm gonna have to get back to Black Clover, and I might do another episode on that, but it stuck to the structure, but it accelerated it super hard, and that did it pretty good for what it's doing right now. It's still popular, which is, not really a big surprise, I guess, but what I'm trying to get at is here it's trying to do the plot structure, is trying to do the structure of what manga should be, but it's taken out the slow moments, the parts that really refine your plot, and it just didn't help, right? Because I want things to slow down. I wanted things to really set in, We don't really get a lot of weight, realization for our characters after certain arcs, Even like there was this big plot twist, and you could totally see it coming a mile away. Once one reveal happens, right, this big plot, it's like, oh snap, like that's where Ko's mother is, and then seeing everything in that scene, I was like, oh yeah, I clearly know what this guy's trying to do, and he does execute it like I thought, but not as thought-provoking, right? Like that's the problem. We find out, oh man, the villain we've been fighting this whole time actually used to be a good guy, and the reason he's being so villainous is because he has no other choice for the situation he's in, because he's actually trying to fight the real villain, the big bad, who we have to fight at the end. That kind of plot happens, and all the characters just kind of brush it off, right? They mention it briefly, and that's it. There's really nothing else in the back of their minds of like, well, he's dead, so that doesn't matter anymore. It's like, I kind of wanted more out of that. If this villain didn't die, things would have been way different. I mean, one of his subordinates survived, but even then you don't really feel like any real conflict, they're kind of like, well, you're working with us now, we have to stop the real bad guy, fuck it, let's just do this. Nothing really substantial for me, right? Nothing really concrete with these characters. They're kind of like, let's just move on, flip the next page. I was expecting a lot more, character-wise, The art style is nice. It's definitely different from what he did with Cage of Eden. It has more of it has that weird digital glow to it, which I don't know, kind of changes it for me, because even his character like designs, like the facial features and all that, it does feel, some of it feels like his art that I know, and then some of it feels the new stuff he's trying to do, and I kind of want the middle. I think if he gets that sweet spot in the middle, that would have been interesting. So this is actually the manga after, I believe, he wrote Cage of Eden, because that went on for, like 5 years. So let me see, books. I don't think he's really done anything else, but I could see the problems in his writing for sure. I think at the end of the day, I thought it was an all right read. yeah, this is only his second manga, you know, so he's got some stuff to really get in there. Plus, there was a lot of, like, I don't mind mystery for characters, right? But then when you're doing backstories for a good amount of characters, why don't you do it for other characters that need it, right? I think that makes sense. Why shouldn't it be like that? I don't know. Because we all get backstories for our main characters, but none for the antagonists, who are, you know, one eventually becomes an anti-hero. And, you know, he has a line of dialogue saying, like, well, you know, it sounds like he was being experimented on. And he has these scars on his face. It makes him interesting, you know, the cool guy, if you will. He had a cool guy in his other manga as well. But we don't really get a lot with him. He just stays as a mystery. Maybe if he was involved more into the series, I mean, he had, like, a good amount of interactions with the character, so I don't see why not. You know, that's just the thing. So overall, yeah, it's all right. You know, it's a fast read. I kind of just really sped through it without trying. I just needs more depth. And I don't know, for me personally, just try to stray away from this digital glow that these art styles have. You know, especially, like, the one way you can tell is always with the shading, right? This was it's really big in Monster Musume and what's it called? Dead Tube, right? Like, the gradient, you could see the shading's just a gradient tool on, like, Photoshop or something, and then that affects it when you actually read it digitally, right? Because then, you know, when you do gradients, it sort of has this effect when you zoom in and out, you know, just because of how the gradient works. And that's kind of where it is. So personally, for me as a manga reader, it sort of, I don't know, drops in quality right off the bat for me. But other than that, yeah, check it out. You know, at least a few, like maybe like one or two arcs, and then you kind of get the feel for what the rest of the manga is going to be. It doesn't really try to do anything wild, no experiments with the plot structure and all that. So, yeah, go check it out. And the next manga I am reading is Gigant, or whatever, however you pronounce it. Reviewed this guy's stuff before. This is the Gantz guy, Inuyashiki. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing where that goes. It's another short one. I'm just pumping through a bunch of short ones leading up to the big boy coming up. This is going to be my, well, yeah, there's two big boys right after. So look forward to those episodes. And while we wait for those guys, remember, you could always follow us on social media at Unversed Podcast, anywhere you go, if you want to stay updated with the episodes and all that. You can always email us at unversedpodcast@gmail.com. Have you read Deathtopia? What are your thoughts on it? That'd be interesting to hear. And thank you for listening as always, guys. And let's just chill and enjoy some music.
I had a nice dream. Now give me 2 scoops, zigzags and weed color ice cream. Mint chocolate chip, my mint chocolate chick. Chocolate Philly, Kush nuclear bright green. Her eyes bright green, my shit's bright red. I put the high beams on for the night head, and that's a nightcap, ziplock tight sack. But I forgot where I'm going, I'll be right back. I'm finna like that and count a couple stacks. Pockets swelling thick, them shits need an ice pack. My Kush OG, sour power up and spit fire like Mario ate the flower up. My blunt fruit punch, my head spinning now. Rolling up, about to spin it now. Bad bro with me, she can get it now. But she know how we getting down, smoking on that. You see, I'm in my bed, please do not blow my high. Swag. Put something in the air, high grade, you know I'm smoking right. Smoking loud in this bitch. Tell I ain't allowed in this bitch. I'm smoking loud in this bitch. Till I ain't allowed in this bitch. Yeah, I like green, wheeling like a bike team. Silver Surfer having slip up on my ice beam. You smoking fish head, that been dead. I'm putting loud in the air, you can smell it on my white tee. They told me turn it down, fuck it, I'ma burn it down. I went to high school, higher learning. Got a buzz soon to feature, cost some 30,000. Welfare check in the limo, old dirty style. Hold on, man, let me like this, hold on, man. White arrow on deck, hootie hoo bra. Open the jaw and the smell like my blunt strawberry, but never shortcake. You smoke my last and we fighting like a court case. Roll it up, big spending now. Bitch, you know how we getting down, smoking on that. What is you see out in my bag? Please do not blow my high. Swag. Put something in the air, high grade. You know I'm smoking right. Smoking loud in this bitch. Till I ain't allowed in this bitch. I'm smoking loud in this bitch. Till I ain't allowed in this bitch. Yeah.